students, welcome to the lecture on the food and beverage service industry. And after this lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the types of food and beverage services, describe the development of a catering strategy, discuss the types of catering, explain the Indian industry of catering services, explain the relationship between catering industry and all other industries. Let's start with the introduction. The food and beverage occupies an integral place in any hotel industry, which plays a vital role in the profitability of the hotel business by providing varieties of prepared food and beverage in the hospitable manner to the house and outside guests. This department has three main operation areas. They are food production, kitchen, bakery, bar, beverage, restaurant, service. The food and beverage services sector includes those businesses that prepare takeaway food for immediate consumption, those that sell alcoholic beverages for consumption on and off the premises, those that provide catering services for functions, as well as those that provide food and beverages for consumption in restaurants, cafes of dining rooms, pubs, taverns, nightclubs and bars. This sector is geared to the increasing demand from consumers choosing to spend more of their disposable income on dining out or having their meals prepared for them. The basic function of this industry is to serve food and drink to people, to satisfy their various types of needs. The main aim is to achieve customer satisfaction. The needs that customer might be seeking to satisfy are psychological, the need of special food items; economic, the need for good value for the price paid; social, a friendly atmosphere to express feelings frankly; psychological, the need for enhancement of self-esteem; convenience, the desire for someone else to do the work. These various needs play a major role in deciding the factors responsible for defining the different type of service methods in food and beverage service industry. The service of food and beverage may be carried out in many ways depending on a number of factors: the type of establishment, the type of customer to be served, the time available for the meal. Food and beverage service can also be viewed from the customer's perspective. Essentially, the customer enters a food service area, orders or selects his/her choice and then is served. The customer may either at this point or later.
Your job as a server begins long before you service the first table. Depending on your restaurant's operation, there may be specific pre-shift tasks, such as folding napkins, cleaning tableware, clearing, bussing, setting, and preparing tables, restocking table seasonings and condiments, preparing and cleaning menus, learning the beverage and menu specials, preparing and/or stocking sides, garnishes, and bread baskets, cleaning trays and tray stands, preparing beverage service items. Bottom line, pre-shift responsibilities include anything and everything that will make your job as a table server go faster or easier or improve the guest's experience.
Let us now talk about the types of food and beverage services. Food and beverage are consumed, following which the area is cleared. Broadly, we can categorize the service methods in 5 types: table service, assisted service, self-service, single point service, specialized or in situ service.
Today we're going to explain in great detail the proper service and attention required for a waiter-served meal. As a server, you are responsible for bringing each course to your table, offering beverages, and keeping attention to your guests' needs. Waiter-served meals are traditionally 3 courses: salad with bread, the main entree with bread, and dessert with coffee. When serving the meal, you need to have enough plates on your tray to serve the entire table. You should not be running back to the kitchen for meals and keeping your guests waiting. Menu details vary from event to event, so a supervisor will cover service specifics during a pre-service meeting and give you a chance to ask any questions. You're going to hear this phrase time and again: serve from the left with your left, remove from the right with your right. Grasping a salad in each hand, approach your table. Place the salad down across the left shoulder of the guest with your left hand. Step to the next guest and serve them over their left shoulder, placing the salad down with your left hand. Continue doing so until your entire table is served. Offer bread to each person at your table and then bring your bread plate back to the kitchen. Once your table is finished with their salads, remove them from the right side of the guest with your right hand. After salads are clear, it's on to the main entree. Again, you need to have enough meals to serve your entire table. Ask for assistance if you need help bringing the plates out. Remove 2 of the plate covers and stack them on their tray stand. Grasping a plate in each hand, approach the table and serve the guests over their left shoulder with your left hand. Step to the next guest and serve them over their left shoulder with your left hand, and continue doing so until the entire table is served. Offer bread to each person at your table and then bring your bread plate back to the kitchen. Remember to keep an eye on refilling waters, iced teas, and wine throughout the dinner service. Your goal is to anticipate the guest's needs. No one should have to ask for more water or another glass of wine. After the entrees have been cleared, it's on to the last course, dessert and coffee. Once again, have enough desserts on your tray for all guests at your table. Serve the guests over their left shoulder with your left hand until everyone at the table has dessert. After the last dessert is placed, immediately offer coffee, decaf, and hot tea to each guest. Remove the dessert plate from the right after your table is finished. Now you should have the fundamental understanding on how to serve a waiter-served meal. Serve from the left with your left, remove from the right with your right.
In this category, the guest enters in the area and is seated. Menu lists are given or displayed for orders. The orders are being taken by waiter. Then the service is done using a lid cover on the table. The types of service under this category: English service, French service, silver service, American plate service, Russian service, Guridan service, assisted service, buffet service, self-service, cafeteria service, single point service, specialized service, grilled room service, tray service, trolley service, home delivery, lounge service, room service. Now let us explore these services one by one. First one is English service, often referred to as the host service because the host plays an active role in the service. Food is brought on platters by the waiter and is shown to the host for approval. The waiter then places the platters on the table. The host either portions the food onto the guest plates directly or portions the food and allows the waiter to serve. For replenishment of guest food, the waiter may then take the dishes around for guests to help themselves or be served by the waiter. Coming to the second one, French service. It is a much personalized service. Food is brought from the kitchen in dishes and salvers, which are placed directly on the table. The plates are kept near the dish and the guests help themselves. Moving on to the third one, silver service. The table is set for a hors d'oeuvres, soup, main courses and sweet dish in sterling silverware. The food is portioned into silver platters at the kitchen itself, which are placed at the sideboard with burners or hot plates to keep the food warm in the restaurant. Plates are placed before the guest. Now, fourth one is American plate service. The American service is a pre-plated service, which means that the food is served into the guest's plate in the kitchen itself and brought to the guest. The kitchen predetermines the portion and the accompaniments served with the dish and then balance the entire presentation in terms of nutrition and color. Moving on to the fifth one, Russian service. An elaborate silver service thought to be the foundation of French service, except that the food is portioned and carved by the waiter at the Guridan trolley in the restaurant in full view of the guests. The sixth one is Guridan service. This is a service where a dish comes partially prepared from the kitchen to be completed in the restaurant by the waiter or when a complete meal is cooked at the table side in the restaurant. Moving on to the seventh one, assisted service. In this type of category, the guest enters in the dining area and helps himself to the food, either from a buffet counter or he may get served partly at table by waiter and he collects any extras he needs from the counter. Eating may be done on either at table, standing, or in lounge area, banquet hall. Moving on to the eighth one, buffet service. A self-service where food is displayed on tables. The guest takes his plate from his stack at the end of each table or requests the waiter behind the buffet table to serve him. For sit-down buffet service, tables are laid with crockery and cutlery as in a restaurant. The ninth one is self-service. In this type of service, the guest enters in the dining area, selects his own tray or from the food counter and carries food by himself to his seating place. Moving on to the 10th one, cafeteria service. This service exists normally in industrial canteens, colleges, hospitals or hotel cafeterias. To facilitate quick service, the menu is fixed and is displayed on large boards. The guest may have to buy coupons in advance, present them to the counter waiter who then serves the desired item. Coming to the 11th one, single point service. In this category, the guest orders, pays for his order and gets served all at a single point. There may not be any dining area or seats. The different types are takeaway. Customer orders and is served from single point at counter, hatch or snack stand. Customer consumes off the premises. Vending. Provision of food service and beverage service by means of automatic retailing. Kiosks. Outstation to provide service for peak demand or in specific location may be open for customers to order or used for dispensing only. Food court. Series of autonomous counters where counters may either order or eat or buy from a number of counters and eat in separate eating area or takeaway. Moving on to 12th one is specialized service. In this category, the guest is served at the place which is not meant or designated for food and beverage service, that is, guest rooms or any special area. Next is 13th one, grill room service. In this form of service, various meats are grilled in front of the guest. The meats may be displayed behind a glass partition or well-decorated counter so that the guest can select his exact cut-off meat. The food comes pre-plated. Moving on to the 14th one, which is tray service. Method of service of whole or part of meal on tray to customer in situ. Example, hospitals, aircraft or railway catering. Now here is 15th one, trolley service. Method of service of food and beverages from trolley away from dining areas, example for office workers in aircraft or on trains. Next is 16th, home delivery. Food delivered to customers' home or place of work, example pizza home delivery or meal on wheels, etc. And 17th one is lounge service. Service of variety of foods and beverages in lounge area. Last one is 18th one, room service. It implies serving of food and beverage in guest rooms of hotels. Small orders are served in trays. There are two types of room services. Centralized room service. Here all the food orders are processed from the main kitchen and sent to the rooms by a common team of waiters. Decentralized room service. Each floor or a set of floor may have separate pantries to service them. Orders are taken at a central point by order takers who in turn convey the order to the respective pantry.
Reception, may I help you?
Yes, I just called room service, but no one answered.
Perhaps I can take your order, madam. Have you seen the menu yet?
Yes.
Madam, what would you like to order?
I'd like to order a cucumber salad with cream, and a fish steak, and my kid wants a beef stew. Both with tomato soup and bread.
Would you care for any dessert?
Yes, I want a milk pudding and a cream puff, please.
Would you care for wine?
No, thanks. Can you please give me 2 bottles of Coke?
Sure, madam. Will there be anything else?
No, thank you.
Your name and room number, please.
Sarah Lynn, in 212.
What time would you like to be served?
Around 7:30, please.
Certainly, madam. Your order will be delivered around 7:30. I hope you will enjoy your meal.
Development of a catering strategy. The extent of on-site catering facilities should be driven by the business needs of an organization. This should include consideration of issues such as the market expectations of employees, current and potential, and expectations of visiting clients. It is important for the facilities management team to be able to demonstrate that the catering strategy is proportional to the organization's needs. Ideally, the facilities manager should lead the associated business case exercise. Menus and choices. Increasingly, caterers are finding that they have to consider a broad range of consumer requirements such as healthy eating, food intolerance, and ethnic variation within their menus to both serve the more diverse mix of staff now found in the modern workplace and cater for an increased diversity in taste. However, providing this level of diversity and choice can come at a price and thus requires careful planning. This increase in cost may derive from a variety of different considerations, including a need for an enhanced subsidy, increased levels of waste being generated, increased labor input, and ultimately labor cost incurred per cover. Cafe menu. Increasingly found for all-day flexible menus for contemporary establishments servicing a more youthful audience. This style of menu works on a part-day basis with key lines retained throughout the service span. Hospitals typically provide a cynical menu and increasingly cater for not only necessary dietary requirements but also special requirements on the basis of religion and requests from those who choose to adopt a vegetarian or vegan diet. Competition. Unlike most other facility services, staff can generally choose whether to use the in-house catering facilities, to use local outlets, or to bring in their own lunch. Both the latter remain common, especially during the current economic climate, even where the organization subsidizes the offering. Planning catering facilities. It is recommended that facilities managers should make themselves familiar with the basic design requirements as a prerequisite to any involvement in the planning of a catering facility. Issues that should be addressed as part of any such proposals include availability of appropriate amenities, water supply, drainage and sewerage, waste disposal, power supply, space heating and or cooling ventilation, including the extraction of cooking smells and airborne grease, all to comply with good practice and local planning, building and fire regulations. Protection from insect and vermin infestation. Temperature control and monitoring required to demonstrate due diligence as required by the Food Safety, General Food Hygiene Regulations 1995, appropriate temperature ranges being cold food assembly 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, larder, pastry, meat and fish preparation 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, and hot cook areas maximum 24 degrees Celsius. Restaurant. A restaurant is an establishment that serves the customers with prepared food and beverages to order to be consumed on the premises. The term covers a multiplicity of venues and a diversity of styles of cuisine. Restaurants are sometimes also a feature of a larger complex, typically a hotel, where the dining amenities are provided for the convenience of the residents and for the hotel to maximize their potential revenue.
Hi and welcome to another video from Business Planet. Today we're going to talk about restaurant business plans and how to maximise the chances of success for your restaurant business plan. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur, a chef or a budding restaurateur, you'll know that every restaurant business starts off with a very clear vision of what the restaurant will be like. You've probably got a very good idea of what the name of your restaurant will be, what type of food you're going to sell, how big the restaurant will be, and even what the decor will be like. In short, you've got a very clear idea of what the restaurant will feel like when you walk in the door. You'll also have a very good idea of where you would like the restaurant to be located, and you may even have considered what the wine selection will be. Now, all of these questions are great because they start off your creative process and help you formulate a vision. But we need to turn that vision into a reality, and that's what we're going to do in this video. You see, right now you've probably got a collection of ideas and you're dreaming about starting up a restaurant business. But if you're watching this video, you know in your heart of hearts you need a business plan to formulate your business strategy, attract the funding you need to get your business off the ground. In short, turning your restaurant dream into a reality. So how do we approach a restaurant business plan? Well, in short, it should be in the following sections. The executive summary, first and foremost, is a one-page document which summarises all of the analysis in your business plan. This document should be no more than 1 to 2 pages, should be short, concise and compelling because it's all the investor and the financier are going to read. For that reason, we do this last after we've done the rest of the analysis. We need to do in-depth market and customer analysis to ensure that we have a relevant market, a viable market, and that our business model will meet the needs of the customer. We also need to find out what the competitive landscape is so that we can find out if there are any weaknesses in their business model and help us compete more successfully within the market we've selected. And we need to do a sales and marketing analysis to actually formulate a sales and marketing strategy on how we're going to bring our product to the market and how we're going to promote it to our customer base. If we're starting up a restaurant from scratch, the operational strategy is even more important than it usually would be. The operational action plan is essentially a blueprint to how you're going to get your business off the ground. And you have to discuss the management team, that be you and your team, and why you're qualified to lead the business to success. And finally, we have a financial plan. These are the broad sections that you need to cover in your business plan. So we'll start off with the analytical sections. Let's start off with market and customer analysis. In this section of your business plan, you need to determine the overall market size in terms of dollars per annum, and then identify your relevant market within that market, and that would be the general geography where you're trading in terms of dollars per annum. We need to identify any current trends in foods within your market in terms of what people want, and establish what the dominant demographic is in your area in terms of what the customers are in age, gender, what their earnings and spending habits are, and information on the average spend per person on dining out. This allows you to identify who your target customer is, which enables you to fine-tune your business model to maximize sales. We then have to move on to the competition. We need to know how many direct competitors there are, and that's competitors that do exactly what you'll be doing. We need to find out what their business model is and how they actually conduct their business, and identify any strengths and weaknesses within that model so that we can unearth opportunities and threats for our business model. And that allows us to establish how well we will be able to compete in that market. We do this by identifying our unique selling proposition. So what makes your restaurant special? And also some analysis on how competitive the market is in terms of how they'll react to a new entrant in the market in terms of price or changing their business model. Once we've identified the competition, we need to formulate a sales and marketing strategy, and that's basically how you're going to promote your restaurant. And that could be through a unique logo and your location in terms of maximizing foot traffic, how you're going to advertise your restaurant, whether that be online, on radio, in the paper, or any other thing. Perhaps you need to discuss how your restaurant will be positioned in the market in terms of its brand. And also, you may want to have event nights, any special nights with music. It's basically a strategy on how you'll get the customer's attention and keep them coming back to your restaurant. Following on from that, we have the operational strategy. Now, if you're just starting a new restaurant, this is a detailed action plan in terms of how you're going to recruit staff and what staff you need, any licenses you need to acquire in terms of food, alcohol, late night music, stuff like that, any leases that you're going to have in terms of the premises, any fit-out improvements to make your business able to trade, and how the restaurant will be laid out from a strategic perspective to maximize or optimize the layout in terms of sales. And you need to figure out who's going to be responsible for these activities and detail a very detailed action plan to explain how they will be achieved, who will achieve them, and in what time frame. Bankers and investors see this as a requirement because it helps to mitigate risks in new startup businesses. Finally, we have our financial plan. In your financial plan, you should have a startup budget spreadsheet detailing all the expenses that you will incur and the cost of all assets that you'll need to acquire in order to get your restaurant off the ground. Now, the hospitality sector is notorious for hidden costs, so when you do your startup budget, ensure that you leave a sufficient contingency to cover any cost overruns during the startup period. We also have to have a forecast profit and loss balance sheet and cash flow to show the financial position of the restaurant over the first 3 to 5 years, and also detailed cash flow and working capital forecasts to detail exactly what cash is going to be in the business and how it's going to be appropriated as we trade. We need to look specifically at the average spend per cover or per table and do a scenario analysis on that to see how it will affect the sales, and detail the credit terms with our suppliers, which will directly affect the working capital position of the restaurant. We also need to think in detail about the stock levels that we'll have and how we're going to manage that, the labour costs and how they will be effectively managed, the fixed costs attached to the restaurant, for example your rent, and interest costs that you may incur from debt you've attracted during the startup period. We need to do a gross margin analysis on all food and alcohol or drinks that we sell in the restaurant in order to effectively optimise our menu to make sure that we get the highest margin per sale. It's also important to do a break-even analysis in your financial plan to detail to any investor or financier exactly how many sales you have to make before you turn a profit. And if you are seeking funding, you need to detail what the sources and uses will be of that funding source, just so you can say exactly what you're going to spend the money on.
Moving on to the next topic, the types of catering. There are two main types of catering, on-premises and off-premises catering, that may be a concern to a large and small caterer. On-premise catering for any function, banquet, reception or event that is held on the physical premises of the establishment or facility that is organizing, sponsoring the function. On-premise catering differs from off-premise catering, whereby the function takes place in a remote location such as a client's home, a park, an art gallery or even a parking lot. The staff, food and the decor must be transported to that location. Off-premise catering often involves producing food at a central kitchen with delivery to and service provided at the client's location. Part or all of the production of food may be executed or finished at the location of the event. On-premise catering. All of the required functions and services that the caterers execute are done exclusively at their own facility. For instance, a caterer within a hotel or banquet hall will prepare and cater all the requirements without taking any service or food outside the facility. Many restaurants have specialized rooms on-premise to cater to the private party niche. A restaurant may have a layout strategically designed with 3 separate dining rooms attached to a centralized commercial food production kitchen. These separate dining rooms are available at the same time to support the restaurant's operation and for reservation and overflow seating. In addition, any of the 3 dining rooms may be contracted out for private event celebrations and may require their own specialized service and menu options. Off-premise catering. Off-premise catering is serving food at a location away from the caterer's food production facility. One example of a food production facility is a freestanding commissary, which is a kitchen facility used exclusively for the preparation of foods to be served at other locations. Other examples of production facilities include, but are not limited to, hotel, restaurant and club kitchens. In most cases, there is no existing kitchen facility at the location where the food is served. Caterers provide single event food service, but not all caterers are created equal. They generally fall into one of the 3 categories: party food caterers, hot buffet caterers, full service caterers. Indian industry of catering services. Students, can any one of you describe the popularity of catering industry? Anyways, catering services have been an important sector of the countries like United States. More than 8,000 catering companies in the USA record the annual revenue of more than INR 3,500 billion. The trend has been slowly growing in India, but it has recently adopted a fast-paced growth due to many reasons. India is a country where numerous festivals and ceremonies are held in the form of important events. So the scope of the catering industry in such a country is worth taking a note. The catering industry in the country is finally extending its reach beyond marriages, and the Indian catering service providers are enjoying the good time. Here is an overview of the catering industry in India. Family style restaurant. Restaurant-based catering services have improved in the country in the recent few years. People who are earning well in various fields and who have started living higher standards of life prefer to choose dining venues with professional catering services. Relationship between catering industry and all other industries. Food is the sustained of life regardless of whether they belong to animal kingdom or plant kingdom. All living beings consume food as they come in nature. Subsequently, they may convert the raw natural food into usable form on their own. This transformation never involves the art and science of cooking, which is a specialty of human beings alone. Importance of food for the human beings is amply, accurately and appropriately stated in the following age-old sayings. Hungry man is an angry man, and even the army marches on stomach, where stomach implies food. Employment of largest number of people in the world in general terms at home, and in commercial terms, catering is in food preparation and servicing. Roughly half the world population, women, is actively engaged in the art and science of food production, and then along comes reproduction. Food production, simply stated, is the transformation of raw food material into palatable, appetizing and easily palatable, tasty food. Unlike all other living organisms, man has to buy food by paying money. Where does the money come from? It comes only from industries. Any industry in the world has the primary objective of making money. Money so generated by the industrial activity is shared between the employer and the employee, however disproportionate it may be. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Food and beverage services are among the most visible locations at sky areas, and sky areas environmental commitment is often judged by the environmental practices within these establishments. The guest may have to buy coupons in advance, present them to the counter waiter who then serves the desired item. Sometimes food is displayed behind the counter and the guests may indicate their choice to the counter attendant. The extent of on-site catering facilities should be driven by the business needs of an organization. This should include consideration of issues such as market expectations of employees, current and potential, and expectations of visiting clients. A restaurant is an establishment that serves the customers with prepared food and beverages to order to be consumed on the premises. Social catering includes such events as weddings, bar and mitzvah, high school reunions, birthday parties and charity events.